now. Center of the track, Roman Centurion. Hot Rod Charlie is in between them. Roman Centurion, Hot Rod Charlie trying to run down Medina Spirit. They're inside the 8th pole. Between horses, Hot Rod Charlie. Medina Spirit, tough as nails. Roman Centurion on the outside. Roman Centurion, Medina Spirit, and Hot Rod Charlie. What a game victory from Medina Spirit.
Welcome back to another Kentucky Derby profile here on the Racing Rundown. I'm Eric DeCoster. In this edition, we will be looking at Medina Spirit, Bob Baffert's representative in this year's Kentucky Derby. Might be able to sneak Hozier in. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, Hozier has or hasn't made the Derby starting gate. But at this point, Medina Spirit is Bob Baffert's Derby representative. And even if another horse does get in for the Baffert barn, Medina Spirit is the A horse. And it's been a very interesting Derby prep season for Bob Baffert. There was a point in early March where it looked like he could have the 3 favorites. And nowadays we sit with Medina Spirit, who's going to be probably anywhere from, I'd say, 10 to 15 to 1, maybe a little higher, depending on how things shake out with some other horses. But they'll be well bet enough, but the value will certainly be there from a win bet perspective. Medina Spirit, really consistent horse, 2 wins, 3 seconds, and 5 starts. Has really impressed, but he's also been beaten by 2 horses in 3 different starts, very handily, I'd say. One of them's Life is Good. Life is Good was, one of the Derby favorites until he was injured in mid-March. And then last time out, Rock Your World handled him very easily in the Santa Anita Derby. Medina Spirit looked very dejected, very beaten down the stretch, despite being the heavy favorite and sitting a good trip. Nothing really I saw watching that race back that could be used as an excuse, but it was a huge regression visually. And by buyer speed figure standards, I'm not a huge speed figure, I don't use speed figures as my end all be all, but when I see a trend that's not good or a drop off or an increase that's good or bad, then I'll definitely take note of it. And Medina Spirit, he's ran in 3 other graded stakes this year, 2 in January, 1 in March, and then the Santa Anita Derby. And the Santa Anita Derby number came back the weakest by far, despite running second. And, some other metrics have had it a little higher. Even some metrics have it as his best career race by their standards. But I think that's really just inflated by Rock Your World's performance. Buyer speed figures a little bit more individualistic, I'll say. And because of that, they give Medina Spirit a weaker number. And that's not a good thing. Obviously, you don't want to see that regression heading into the biggest race of his career. But, he's a hard trier at the same time. Go to his Bob Lewis win in late January, where he went wire to wire, set some pretty hard fractions, and somehow dug in. That's when I really had it figured out how he was able to win that race, because he was challenged by Hot Rod Charlie and Roman Centurion, 2 very talented horses. Hot Rod Charlie, the eventual Louisiana Derby winner, and he was so gritty that day, winning by a neck. And that will to win, and even his second place performances, even though he's been well beaten in those starts, that just pure will to fight and run good races consistently, despite having, a quick pace that you're setting or that you're having to sit off of, and things like that. Racing against really good horses like Life is Good and Rock Your World, and to still be putting in those good performances, that says a lot about this horse, in my opinion. I don't really know how much of a win contender I could call him, given the quality of some of the other horses in here, but he could, given how hard he tries, you could easily expect him to take a step forward and at least try to hit the board or something, because he's going to be giving his all. You can't, as cliched as it is, you can't measure heart on a racehorse. You just can't. But some horses just really, really want to try and really want to win. And the past performances are never going to reflect that, of course. But he's a hard trying horse, and I think that says a lot. Also, a big testament, John Velasquez sticks with him. He's ridden him in his past 2 starts. He's been second on him in his last 2 starts. He could have had, he could have easily picked off a mount from some other riders, or picked up a mount that was open, stuff like that. We're talking about a dude that's won the Derby 3 times now. But he stayed with Medina Spirit and Bob Baffert here, and that says a lot to how he views this horse. Medina Spirit honestly reminds me a lot of Real Quiet. I know that's 23, 24 years ago now that we're talking about, but Real Quiet was a horse with lots of potential, but was just chasing home some good horses in the San Felipe and Santa Anita Derby, running second in both, in fact, just like Medina Spirit, and then went on, overlooked in the Derby ever so slightly, and went on to win that race, the Kentucky Derby, sitting kind of a similar trip that Medina Spirit should sit. So if you're looking for for a historical comparison for Medina Spirit, that'd certainly be your horse right there. It is, but at the same time, it is a bit unsettling, when you're relying on a horse purely based off, oh well, they try hard every time. That's not easy, because at the end of the day, when a horse isn't producing wins and they're getting beat by 8 and 4 lengths respectively in their last 2 starts, that's not going to give you a ton of confidence. So the Bob Baffert effect is also going to probably, weaken the price on him to some extent. And I think true value, he's closer to 20 to 1, but knowing how bettors everywhere like Bob Baffert, it's going to certainly be closer to, like I said, that 10 to 15 to 1 range. Still good value, of course. So for Medina Spirit overall, he's a hard trier. I said it. It was a long-winded way to say he has heart and he's going to try every time. But it's the truth. He really is going to put in the effort and he's going to try his best. I feel like he can work out any trip. He's won on the lead. He's run well sitting off the pace. He's going to be up in a throng of horses that are going to he's going to be one of many horses in this year's Derby, kind of looking for that same exact stalking spot, the guarding trip as they call it. So that's also kind of a negative in his corner. He might not get the trip he exactly likes, but he's a good horse. I don't really know how to read him. It's certainly going to depend on post position draw, race tactics, where he can sit, in my opinion. I think if he gets an outside draw and can kind of stalk the entire way, not be really in behind horses, taking a ton of dirt, I think that's going to be super beneficial to him, because even though he'll be wide and he'll lose some ground in that sense, he's going to be avoiding traffic trouble most likely, and he'll be getting, like I said, not a lot of kickback, which will be a big thing for him if he draws inside. Certainly one I'm probably going to look against, because of the opposite of the reasons I just did. Medina Spirit, though, overall, good horse. Wouldn't blame anyone for using him underneath. Probably not a wing contender, but I think he could be one you could use underneath in some exotics. So that's all I have for you guys on this profile, and we'll see you next time on the Racing Rundown.
Medina Spirit trying hard in second. He's 4 lengths behind. And then it's Parnelli in third. They're coming to the 16th pole. And it's Life is Good still with a 4-length lead, galloping without any urging from Mike Smith. Medina Spirit trying very hard and is closing that gap late. Life is Good. Medina Spirit, a solid effort. Life is Good wins 3/4 of a length.